Donaldsonville, and WDG. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Now, here's Charles Hannegriff.
We're back.
And we welcome you into the first edition of the Hannycast, a new show. I'm Charles Hannegriff. Great to be with you today. Got Mario and Danny here operating the board, and it is wonderful to be back. Excited to start the new show, a new adventure, if you will. And today's the first day of that. So, what did I miss? Anything happen while I've been gone?
A few things, yeah.
Yeah, a few changes. So let me start off just kind of giving you my overview of where I've been, what I have been doing, and what I am doing now, and what I hope that this show can become. First of all, I'm not kidding when I say I'm excited to be back. I've been in this business for my entire adult life, and back even before that, and I've been working for this company at Guarantee for the great majority of that. And so as I told them at the staff meeting this morning, it was good to be back in the building. Not that I ever really left, but to be back on a full-time basis is something that been working back towards here for a little bit, and I'm excited to get it started. So where have I been, and how did I get to this point? I promise you, I'm going to spend very, very little time talking about me. It's one of my least favorite topics, to be honest with you. But I do want to kind of explain where I've been and what I hope that we've got coming with this show and what the future holds. So last year, I took a shot going into a business that was centered around NIL. Why did I do that? Well, there were a number of reasons. And the first one was it was an exciting opportunity. It was a brand new business. It had a lot of possibilities, and there were a lot of creative things that I thought that I could bring. What I found out was that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it was. It wasn't a good fit for me. It wasn't a good match for me. That wasn't necessarily anybody's fault. I enjoyed the people I worked with. I enjoyed where I was, but the actual business was not something that I enjoyed very much. Why? Mostly because the NIL landscape is very unstructured at this point. And again, that's nobody's fault. That's just the nature of it. And looking down the road, it wasn't something that I wanted to continue to be a part of. And because I had kept some of my assignments here at Guarantee, I never really got the radio out of my head. What I found also, this was about myself, was that I missed this. Part of the reason that I left to go and take this other opportunity was, I'll be honest with you, at the beginning of last year, I was a little burnt out. When we would come in here, what I've always enjoyed about the business is one of the things is the subject matter. I like talking about sports. I like watching games. I like seeing new players. I like seeing how teams come together. I like angles. The sports wagering thing, it kind of been a boost to the industry, and I enjoy all of that stuff. I never could get it out of my head that I wasn't supposed to be at the next press conference, at the next game, preparing for the next show. I guess you could say it's in my blood. But the parts that I liked had been de-emphasized, in large part because of COVID. We spent an enormous amount of time talking about this is canceled, this is postponed, this is redone. All the way from players and coaches to the actual games themselves. It became a a real burden, and it simply wasn't fun. I know I'm not the only person that COVID affected, but it did get in. I'll be honest with you, it got into my mindset, and every day seemed to be about that. And when we got past that, frankly, a lot of the subject matter in the world of sports locally wasn't all that much fun either. Whether it be coaches that were in some sort of trouble or another, whether it be on the field or off the field, into some very serious and ugly matters with lawsuits attached to it and all that stuff. So I'll be honest with you, it wore on me, and I said, you know what? Let me try something else. And what I found was that I miss this a great deal, and I certainly didn't miss the COVID part of it. I certainly don't miss the lawsuits part of it. I didn't miss all of the ugly firings and all of the, but that's part of the business. But now that it's back, and it's been back for a good bit now, the actual sports, I can concentrate on the actual sports. I found that I missed doing that, and I'm anxious to do it again. And so whether it be working with Jimmy at nights or, with pre and post game or all that stuff, getting back to a daily show was something that I wanted to do because I like this. The format, my format had kind of bounced around a little bit. I hope to settle in here. This is going to just be me, but with a variety of guests and things like that for 1 hour. So I feel like I will be able to, as we say around here, play the hits. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. So that's a little bit about where I've been and what I hope that this show will become. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. You're going to get my takes on what's going on locally and nationally in the world of sports. We will do some sports wagering on this show. It'll be probably a little piece of every show, but it won't be the whole show. So formatically, we'll change it a little bit there. It'll also include feedback from you, whether it be through YouTube or Twitter. I'm encouraging you to interact, ask questions. I'll answer them. We'll talk, we'll bring up the topics that are most important to you. So those are some of the things that I'm hoping to accomplish. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent anything here. I think that, we've done it pretty well here for a while. And so why mess up a good thing? So I'm hoping to be able to interact with you on a daily basis. So a little bit of nuts and bolts, the format of this show. We're going to go from noon to 1 every day, except on Mondays during football season. And the reason for that is that Brian Kelly's press conference is something that we cover live, as we have with all the other coaches, and he's moved the time on us a little bit. Ed Ogeron went at 12:30, so we went to the press conference at 12:10. Now Brian Kelly wants to start at 12 o'clock, so we will start the pre-show at 11:40. I'll come back after at 12:30 and lead you into Hunting Hill. We're going to go on from 1 until 3. So I'll be in studio Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, we are bringing back sort of a de facto version of Football Friday. I'll be on with Jimmy from 10 until noon. He'll be on with me in the noon hour, and we will be at Rufino's on that day. So in the first 4 days of the week, we'll be in studio. On Fridays, we'll be out at Rufino's. We'll be continuing the podcast. The Hanny Cast is coming back on. We've done it in our summertime schedule was twice a week. We'll come back and do that 4 days a week. That'll be Monday through Thursday, and that'll start this afternoon after Brian Kelly tells us who the quarterback's going to be and unimportant things like that. So the Hanny Cast, Monday through Thursday, and we'll probably be dropping that sometime in the mid-afternoon. So that's it. I wanted to keep the opening of this short because, like I said, I'm one of my least favorite topics to do. I do want to thank Flynn Foster and Gordy Rush, of course, and Chris Elliott and Cade Wazan, our management team here, and the entire staff has been very, very welcoming to come back. Also want to thank Mario and Musso, who did a great job with their show, and they are still very much a big part of what we're doing here at Guarantee. In fact, Mario's going to be producing this show. So, Mario, you're definitely going to be a part of this. Musso is going to be a part of game day. I'm going back to both pre and post game on game day. And this Sunday we'll be down at Rouse's on Barone Street for the pregame. Jeremy Hill will be joining me for the postgame. Musso will be with me, as well as everybody on our staff on the pregame. So we're going to start that this weekend as well. I think that's it. So Daily Show podcast, Football Friday and game day. I will continue to be a part of Jimmy Ott's Game Time on Monday night and Thursday night. So you won't have any problem finding me. If you like me, there's lots of places to find me. If you don't like me, you'll probably get more of me than you want. But hey, que sera, you got your break. That's over. All right. So with that, let's start the show. And I know what you want to talk about is LSU football. So we'll do that when we come back. And again, at 11:40, we'll kick it to the Brian Kelly press conference. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt, and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care. It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 90.
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Brian Kelly press conference coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to the pre-show at 11:40 just to get you caught up on the format. We're going to get used to the format a little bit. Brian Kelly's changed some things around. A lot of the procedures that had been in place going back some 20 years, whether it be the coaches show, the press conference, the access to practice, he's changed a lot of things. What happened in 2000 was Saban had changed a lot. He was much more restrictive in a lot of his procedures than the previous coaches had been. And you got to remember that the internet was still in its infancy. Just a couple of years in, there was no social media at that time. He clamped a lot of things down. Les kept a lot of those things in place, and Ogeron kept a lot of those things in place, whether it be freshmen talking to the media, access to practice, how the shows ran and all that stuff. Kelly is very, very comfortable making his own decisions. Some of them will be popular, some of them won't. But as far as I'm concerned, the level of access that he has granted has been a really positive thing, not just for the media. I know people will think, oh gosh, you guys, you're spoiled or whatever. It's really about the fans. Okay. I tell people all the time, we have to do shows. We're going to watch the games, whether we can give you a snapshot of practice or not. It's just a lot easier to do it if you can see some. And believe me when I tell you that no member of the media that I know wanted access to every minute of every practice. Okay. It seems like, oh, wow, you get to go to football practice. And after you go to a few football practice, you go, hey man, we're watching football practice. Okay. It's exciting. To me, what Brian Kelly did was perfect. It was, listen, we're going to give you a good look. We're going to give you an idea of what this team looks like. And then come the season, we're going to shut it down. It's perfect. If he had called and asked me, which he didn't, I would have said, hey, do this. Let us watch a scrimmage. Let us watch 1 or 2 practices, 2 or 3 practices from start to finish, not just the opening of. So he didn't call me, but if he had called me, this is probably what I would have asked for. So what did I see? I made, I think, everyone that was open to see. We'll hear something, I'm sure, in this press conference about the depth chart. And you start at quarterback. A month ago, what do I think differently than I thought when camp started? I think that they will play both quarterbacks. I'm not saying that it will be scripted. I'm not saying that they will say, well, absolutely, you're going to get reps in this game. But I do think that they will use both of these quarterbacks at various times throughout the season. They are different skill sets for Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. But right now, as far as giving LSU an opportunity to win, I think it's very close. If you were to give a win percentage, for instance, when the starting quarterback is announced, it's not going to change the point spread. If, in the NFL, you lose the starter, you go to the backup, that's going to affect a point spread. This won't affect the point spread. As far as Vegas is concerned, Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier are pretty much the same player. What I have seen is that Jaden Daniels is the more experienced, and he has better mobility. And this offense is going to require the quarterback to move a little bit. It's one of the reasons that Miles Brennan was not going to be a good fit in this offense. They're going to run a lot of stuff with two tights. They're going to run tight with a wing, and the quarterback is going to have to move. And Daniels and Nussmeier were better at that So I do think it's still going to be Daniels to start, but I think both of them are going to play. That's something that I thought differently about than the beginning of camp. What about the running backs? What do I think differently about the running backs from the beginning of camp? Well, Noah Cain has emerged as the most dependable of the backs. I don't know if I expected there to be more of a rotation, but Cain has clearly emerged as the number one guy. Frankly, I was hoping for a little bit of a splash from John Emery. Didn't see it. And now he's still going to fight with this suspension for the first couple of games as well. He looked to me like a guy who had been out of the game for a while and hadn't played in a real game in quite some time. Hey, look, I was hoping for more from the running backs this August in both Baton Rouge and New Orleans. I was hoping for Abram Smith to kind of pop a little bit in Saints camp. He's already been cut, may come back to the practice squad. That didn't happen. I was hoping that John Emery would be back in the mix and be a big part of what they do. Right now, I don't see that happening. As Kelly himself pointed out, what was it, about a week or so ago, there's not a Leonard Fournette in that room. There's not a Darius Geis. There's not a Jeremy Hill. These backs are good players. They are not what you would call elite. None of these guys are going to get drafted where Leonard Fournette did in the NFL. But Noah Cain is going to be your guy. He's a solid back. He does not possess elite speed. He doesn't possess elite moves, but he's an honest back. He's going to run up the field. He can catch a football. He's in good shape. That's where you are. The strength on that side of the football is with the receivers. And I watched Kayshon Boutte we're saying Boutte now, right? He said how you say it, so we're going with Boutte. We've been saying Boutte, but we're going with Boutte. He did not look like a guy to me that had missed any time. He looked to me in the practices that I saw every bit the superstar that he was when he was on the field until he got hurt at Kentucky. I didn't see him favoring anything. He did not look to have lost anything out of his cuts, and he is absolutely, in my mind, the best player on this football team. But they've got some depth there. Jack Besh, after missing the first part of practice, is back. I think you're going to like what you see out of Malik Neighbors. I think Brian Thomas is going to have a role on this team, along with Jeray Jenkins and Kyron Lacey. That's 6 guys that you can put out there. And had Hilton not missed maybe the first part of camp, you might throw his name in there a little bit later on when he gets back further immersed in the offense. But that's your strength on that side of the ball is outside. The offensive line is going to be at the big. Ratcheted up a notch a week and a half ago when they made a change in the starting lineup. So for the first half of camp, basically, you had Will Campbell at left tackle. You had Tremont Shorts at left guard. You had Garrett Dellinger at center. You had Miles Frazier at right guard, and you had Anthony Bradford at right tackle. About halfway through, they changed that, and I think there's 2 reasons for it. Number one, Shorts was not having what you would call a great camp at left guard. And the other thing was Bradford looked to me to be a little bit heavy and was a guy that was maybe going to have some problems with elite speed on the outside rushing the passer. So they made a change. They moved Frazier to the left side in Shorts' spot. They moved Bradford down to guard where he's less likely to be, affected by the quickness of who he's up against. And they put Cam Wire, who's the most experienced of this group at LSU, in at right tackle. Wire was okay last year. He's kind of is what it is. He's a good player. He's not what you would call an elite level athlete. But what bothers me the most about this is going into camp, I was worried about the number of reps. I think there's a lot of individual talent on this offensive line. But what they don't have is a lot of cohesion. When they take the field against Florida State on Sunday, this group will have had, these 5 will have had somewhere in the area of 9 or 10 practices together. Ideally, you would like at least some returners from a year ago. Last year, Will Campbell was playing high school football. Last year, Frazier, who is now a left guard, was playing tackle at Florida International. Garrett Dellinger was playing tackle and guard last year, and at times he was playing tackle with a labrum that wouldn't allow him to really lift his arm. Bradford was basically been in and out of the lineup for 2 years, and then you got Wire, who's back. That's as drastic an overhaul of an offensive line as you can get. Not only were these guys not playing together, most of them weren't playing here. That's going to take some time. That's not something that – now, look, when they play the non-conference portion of this schedule after Florida State, they're going to look like they're an elite group, but that's because they're going to be so much physically superior to who they're playing. If you watched Florida State and Duquesne, I don't know if Florida State's offensive line is good or not. I know they're a lot better than Duquesne, but I don't know if they're better than LSU. Same thing with North Carolina. I know they're better than Florida A&M. I don't know if they're better than some of the best teams in the ACC. So, offense, they're going to run a lot of two tights. You're going to see all of these tight ends play. He has sung the praises of Mason Taylor an awful lot. Mashburn, put a hat on you. And then you got Cole Taylor as well. Watching Mason Taylor, there's plenty to like. As basic as I can put it to you, he looks like a football player. His dad's in the Hall of Fame. He grew up in the sport. All he needs is a little bit of time under his belt. He could be a great player. And they're going to use this stuff a lot. I've been asked why, with the shortage of tight ends that they've got and the great talent they've got at wide receiver, why wouldn't they just start going to a lot of 4 wide sets and throwing the ball down the field, throwing the ball vertically? And my answer to you would be because if they did that, the offensive line struggles would really be highlighted. That you would have quarterbacks that would take a lot of hits. And, Nussmeier has the more accurate arm of the two. They've both got enough arm strength to get the ball down the field. But if they were to go to an offense, say to something that they ran in 2019, I would be worried about the ball getting out on time, and I would be worried about the number of hits that these guys would take. Not to mention the fact that if that doesn't work, you end up with your defense on the field a lot. That's why, I'm not into go 4 wides, go tempo. That's probably not the best course of action for this group. So run the football a little bit. Let this offensive line start to feel their way into the season. Let them improve. Try to control the football a little bit. Try to keep your quarterbacks out of harm's way as much as you can. Try to control the ball, and the strength of this team is going to be on the other side, on the defense. Try not to wear them out. We'll talk about the defense a little bit when we come back, and we're going to send you to the Brian Kelly press conference at 11:40. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Small business owner, you've probably noticed how the big banks like to force you into one-size-fits-all financial service products. At Neighbors Federal Credit Union, we've created a suite of flexible commercial checking accounts designed to fit the specific needs of your local business. And with 9 full-service locations throughout Greater Baton Rouge, we're always just around the corner. We're a local small business looking out for other local small businesses. Learn more about Neighbors commercial checking accounts by visiting neighborsfcu.org. Neighbors Federal Credit Union. We're here for you. Insured by NCUA.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you're on the YouTube chat, I'm logged in as Sports Today. They never canceled my account, so for the moment, I'm still logged in as Sports Today. You know what else they didn't do? They didn't cancel my key card. I could always get in the building, so that was nice. They kept my mailbox, everything. They did demolish my office. They did a remodel on the first floor, demolished my office, so I'm just going to probably work out of my house. I didn't get here early enough to steal Moscona's parking spot, though, this morning. Clay Young beat me to it. I really, really wanted to do that. All right, I got a few minutes here, so let me talk about the defense before we send you to the press conference. One of the things, if I sound like I'm down on the offensive line, it's just a work in progress. One of the things I've tried to remind myself all camp is that the defensive front is full of guys that are going to play on Sundays. Ali Gay, B.J. Ojolari, Jaquilin Roy, Mason Smith. All these guys are going to be pros, and some of these guys are going to be really high picks. Mason Smith for next year, you can already look at that guy. This guy's going to go high, and they've got some depth there. Whether it be Jacobian Guillory, Makai Wingo, who came over from Missouri, the guy I love, absolutely think is going to be a monster here is Quincy Wiggins. I'm all in on Quincy Wiggins. I'm not saying it's going to be right out of the chute. First game, everything is a lot of numbers on that line. But oh man, does that cat look like $1 million? And he's going to look like a lot more than $1 million in about 3 years. I'm very, very high on Wiggins. Most of the time, you're going to see them play with two linebackers because you're going to have the nickel back on the field. So that's Penn and that's Jones. And I liked what I saw out of both of those guys. Jones in particular, I think has just made real strides from last year. He came in with a lot of expectations, got off to a slow start, was starting to come on as the season went along. And I like the leadership that I've seen. I love his mobility, and he'll hit you. And Penn, I thought, was coming on a little bit at the end of last season as well. I think they're good there. Weeks is going to play if they play three linebackers, but Harold Perkins is on the move. I love Quincy Wiggins, number one out of the freshmen on defense, but Perkins is like 1A, okay? He's on the move. They're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field, and I expect that he will be a big part of their special teams early. In the secondary, you got a lot of bodies back there. Converse on one side at the corner. On the other side, it's going to be Gardner, I think, at the beginning, but you're also going to see a lot of Dickerson. Did you get my joke? Kelly keeps calling him Dickerson, okay? His name is actually Richardson, Colby Richardson, the transfer from McNeese. But Brian Kelly, every now and then you just get a brain freeze and you just get stuck on a name. He started calling him Dickerson, and so now it's just kind of become the running joke. It is Richardson. So you see those three guys plus Seven Banks, who was limited a little bit at the beginning of camp, coming over from Ohio State, but I think is continuing to ramp up. So that's your first four corners, and then at safety, I was a little bit surprised that Major Burns beat out Joe Fouché. Fouché had been a captain at Arkansas. Burns is a really heady player. He's one of those guys that always seems to be where he's supposed to be. He reminds me a little bit of Brandon Taylor. You remember Brandon Taylor? Brandon Taylor was always in the right spot. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the fastest. He was just always in the right spot. That's what Burns reminds me of a little bit. And then Jay Ward and then Greg Brooks is your nickel back. Behind them, you got Fouché, and you got, I think they're comfortable with Sage Ryan. So that's 5 safeties and 4 corners. So you got 9 people back there, I think, right now that they feel comfortable with. At least that's the ones that I have seen. The punter, Gardner's going to punt. That was decided in like 30 seconds, and I still don't know who's going to kick. I guess Ramos is going to kick, but it wouldn't surprise me if the guy goes out there and he does well, great. But if the guy goes out, whoever it is, goes out there and misses a couple of kicks, they could try somebody else. That's one of those things that you can go out and you can watch practice, and until you put the lights on, until you put some pressure on them, you really don't know what you got. Now, if it makes you feel any better, I said the same thing about Cade York in 2019. I can remember doing the pre-shows. It was like, man, is Cade York going to be able to kick when the lights come on? I don't know. I found out in a hurry. So these guys, all 4 of them, I don't know if they're going to be able to kick when the lights come on. We saw some good and some bad in the limited amount that we saw in practice. So feel good about the punter. I don't even want to call it nervous. It's just to call it the unknown, because I think of all of the positions out there, the one that's hardest to equate what you see on the practice field to what you see on the game field, I'd put kicker at the top of the list. I watch, practice over the years. I've seen guys that can't miss in practice and get in the game and their brain goes to jello. It's just it's a different field, and the kickers will tell you that the wind patterns in the on ground level at Tiger Stadium, it can be a little bit deceiving what you're actually kicking into and what the flags look like on the top of the stadium. I never kicked. I'll take their word for it. All I know is it's different when the lights come on, so I officially have no opinion on the kickers. Beauty part of this format, thank you, Coach Kelly, is that we'll be able to talk about what he says in the press conference after it's done. Don't have to wait until tomorrow. So we'll be back, I guess, somewhere in the area of 12:30 for the rest of the show. So we'll send you to the Brian Kelly press conference with the pre-show, Chris Blair and Gordy Rush. And then we'll be back with Hanny Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
following is an exclusive presentation of the LSU Sports Radio Network. Welcome in to the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today. Coming up, head coach Brian Kelly discusses the week ahead for LSU Fighting Tiger football. But first, from inside the Capital One LSU Sports Radio Network studios, here are former Tiger Gordy Rush and the voice of your Fighting Tigers, Chris Blair.
Tiger fans been counting down the days since November 30th, 2021. And now just a few more days to wait as LSU gets ready to open up the 2022 season this coming Sunday, taking on Florida State inside the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. Great matchup, marquee matchup featuring two great teams, two great programs. It's a great city, great venue. It's going to be fantastic as we get things underway. Welcome into the Brian Kelly Press Conference presented by ASAP. Coming up straight up at high noon, we'll be joined with head coach Brian Kelly from the Lawton Room here at Tiger Stadium as he will once again set the tone, have some opening statements, and then, of course, take questions from the media. Happy to have once again this season Gordy Rush, former Tiger Gordy Rush. And Gordy, I mentioned people have been counting down the days. One of the things that every time I've seen you since Coach Kelly and his staff and people have been on the ground, and I know, and anybody who knows you, you like organization, you like attention to detail, and every time I see you, you say, that's all I see when I'm around football.
Yeah, I've been blown away on how efficient everything in this program has been. Practice, there's been some unique ways in which I've seen practices scheduled, and usually you get a flow from individual up to team. Well, they would work that in some special teams in between, and basically no wasted time, Chris. There's been a high level of execution. Everything that every minute that they spend out on the practice field has been well used, and that goes for Coach Kelly off the field. I got to work 2 charity events with him, and gets in there, does his business, does it very well, and in and out. It's been impressive.
You know, coming up, we'll talk about a little more about the matchup and what we know about Florida State. But interesting, visiting with Coach Kelly last week during his radio show, you know, I asked him, he said, hey, I've been doing this 32 years, and it's still also, you know, when you're inside a week to kickoff. It just feels different, and you could sense around the building. Got a chance to come over to Tiger Stadium on Saturday, take a look at the guys working out. You kind of sense it's different than it was 2 weeks ago, different than it was a month ago.
Yeah, especially you've gone through such a long camp out here. As hot as it is, it's been in Baton Rouge. Of course, it's rained so much here in Louisiana, so that's changed you to alter practice. But again, when school starts, all of a sudden you get a little bit of momentum. And then when it's game week, that Sunday night meeting when the team comes back, the juices get going, you feel game week.
Again, probably a few questions answered today when Coach Kelly takes to the podium. Again, he's very upfront, really have enjoyed his press conferences. In fact, all of the coaches, Coach Polian, Coach House, Coach Denbrock, I mean, they come up, they talk football. So I don't expect anything different for this week and this official first press conference of the 2022 season. And you look at a number of guys coming back, and we could sit here for the next hour, but Coach Kelly's going to join us soon, talking about the guys that came back, guys who have joined the program, whether they be transfers, whether they be first-year players a la Will Campbell, that we'll finally figure out here in a couple of days who's going to be up front on that offensive line, who's going to be in the secondary, out on the corners and at the safety position, how they'll utilize the linebackers. And, who's going to take snaps for the first play of the season?
I'm going to be interested to see what Coach has to say, because I know when you visited with him earlier this spring, he when they get in the game planning mode and they get in the game week, they shut things down. They're very, I don't know if you want to call it secretive. They're behind closed doors. That's the way that he likes to conduct his business. He was really impressed at how wide open he was in fall camp, allowing members of the media, former players, TAF folks to get out there and watch some practices. So I'm interested to see just exactly how much he's going to show his hand in this press conference. The other part of it is this, Chris. I've seen enough practice out there. They're going to play a lot of people. Defensively, they're going to rotate a lot of people in and out. There's different packages, and the competition is not over just because it's the first football game. It's going to continue on through the first couple games, I think, until you get to that SEC slate starting with Auburn October 1st.
Again, talking about how transparent he has been, and you talk about some of the opening sessions for the media, giving us a chance to see some of those battles. I asked Coach on Thursday, is there an advantage at all? Florida State getting to play Duquesne, albeit an FCS opponent at home, but Florida State hadn't won a season opener since 2016. And, oh, by the way, last year they lost the opener to a Brian Kelly Notre Dame team in overtime. Is there an advantage to either team? And, he was very upfront. He said, hey, it's a little bit of both. We get to see some of their personnel, some of the young players, as well as some of their transfers, see what they actually do with film here in 2022. And by the same token, they get to knock some of the kinks out from a operational standpoint. But again, just very transparent. It probably helps us in some ways, he said, and probably gives them a slight advantage in others.
That's the right answer. Coach Mac Brown from North Carolina made that comment at halftime against Florida A&M. It was a closer game than most expected. And he said, hey, we hadn't seen this quarterback. We didn't know what they were going to do offensively. Now we've got to be able to react. Well, LSU has that advantage because Florida State doesn't know exactly who or what to expect. On the flip side, I will tell you, playing a football game and getting some of those jitters out, and just I think you're going to clean up a lot of the execution from week 1 to week 2. We saw that at UCLA last year. UCLA had played that early game and really executed well against LSU in that second football game. I think he's exactly right. It's a little bit of both.
Well, moving up the press conference a little earlier this year, Coach Kelly going to join us from the Lawton Room coming up at 12 noon. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. I'm going to find out what Gordy knows about this Seminole team the Tigers will take on Sunday inside the Caesars Superdome. It's the Brian Kelly press conference delivered by ASAP. Tiger fans, make sure to download the ASAP app. Get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Hey, Tiger fans, your new favorite local delivery app is here. Download the ASAP app to get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. All season long, make sure to use promo code TIGERS22 to score free delivery and automatically be entered in the Winner ASAP Dinner Sweepstakes for a chance to win LSU tickets, autographed merchandise, and more. That's promo code TIGERS22. ASAP is the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Albertsons is making shopping and saving easier than ever. Check out Albertsons For You in our mobile app, where you can shop for groceries and save weekly with digital coupons all in one place. With Albertsons For You, you can earn rewards points every time you shop and redeem them for free groceries. Brand new Albertsons For You members receive $5 off their next $25 purchase just for signing up. Download the Albertsons app or go to albertsons.com to sign up. Albertsons, fresh food, local flavors.
If you're a small business owner, you've probably noticed how the big banks like to force you into one-size-fits-all financial service products. At Neighbors Federal Credit Union, we've created a suite of flexible commercial checking accounts designed to fit the specific needs of your local business. And with 9 full-service locations throughout Greater Baton Rouge, we're always just around the corner. We're a local small business looking out for other local small businesses. Learn more about Neighbors commercial checking accounts by visiting neighborsfcu.org. Neighbors Federal Credit Union. We're here for you. Insured by NCUA.
Mr. Electric is hiring. Here's employee Brandon Oob.
I've made a great living for my family at Mr. Electric. Freedom to decide how much money I make, own company vehicle, great pay, with vacations and incentives to earn extra money. I look forward to going to work every day.
Apply at MrElectric.com. Are you interested in training to become a dental assistant? Medical Training College has classes starting soon, so visit mtcbr.com today. Medical Training College is the right choice for your career education.
Coach Kelly is just moments away from previewing the week for the Fighting Tigers. This is the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Once again, here are Gordy and Chris.
We will send you over to the Lawton Room coming up around 12 noon. Coach Brian Kelly will officially start game week We'll have his opening statements and then, of course, take questions from the media. Gordy, before I get your thoughts on Florida State, a couple of numbers to throw at you. It's been a while since the Tigers and Noles have gotten together. 1991, the last meeting. Florida State leads the series all-time 7-2, but the Tigers are heading to Tiger Stadium East coming up on Sunday. Again, also playing on Sunday night, they are 3-1 all-time as a program. Excellent job. 14-5 all-time played inside the Superdome. 10-2 in regular season play. So those numbers I like in favor of LSU. But as we said, it's been a while since FSU and LSU got together. I said from the opening, great venue, great city, going to be a great matchup, great start, and should be a lot of fun. We got to see Florida State on Saturday against Duquesne. The Duke's a pretty competitive FCS program, but totally outmatched. Florida State was able to build the lead, I think 26-0 at halftime, eventually got 33-0, and then they just kind of cruised on to victory 47-7. It starts with their quarterback offensively, and what we saw, at least on Saturday, a three-headed monster running the football.
Starts with running the football, and that's where Florida State struggled the last couple of years. Mike Norvell came over from Memphis after having a great run there, leading them to the Cotton Bowl. And, of course, he got the COVID year right off the bat, 3-6 in 2020 and 5-7 a year ago. And at Florida State, the big problem was talent. They had struggled in the recruiting game and with some of the obvious the transfer portals and things of that nature. They're depleted. And he did a nice job, similar to LSU, in going out and plugging some places where he needed help. On the wide receiving group, they had 4 or 5 transfers there. On the offensive line, the last couple of years, they've got 2 or 3 transfers that helped them run the football a little bit against Duquesne. And a tailback in Trey Benson, who's part of that two-headed monster with Treshaun Ward, who was a walk-on in the program. Trey Benson comes over from Oregon, and there's no hiding it. They want to run the football. They netted 406 yards, albeit against Duquesne, and that's where it's got to start.
Yeah, you mentioned the quarterback again, Jordan Travis. Last year had some big moments.
Yes.
Suffered through a couple of injuries as well. But all hype from down in Tallahassee is this is going to be the year he stands forward. Again, 11 of 15, not bad. Wasn't asked to do a lot. Again, when you had 3 running backs go over the century mark, led by Ward with 127, Benson, and then don't forget about Toafili. Mm-hmm. Again, he got some carries as well, finished at 101 yards. You talk about adding to that offensive line, and I think when you talk to Florida State fans and those who cover the program, that lack of a running game completely started with the inability to have what they expected, the talent level, and really consistency on the offensive line. And to me, that's probably where you want to break down the film. How good is this front offensively for Florida State?
Yeah, no, we'll see. Now, keep in mind, against Duquesne, it was raining. They had a lightning delay. It was a wet field, so you really weren't going to throw the ball, and that you weren't going to be able to throw the ball that much. And then you come in to play LSU, and I think one of the strengths of this LSU team is that front seven. This defensive line and the group that they have behind it might be, one of the better groups in the country. How's Florida State going to be able to run the football against LSU?
Yeah, and we didn't see Travis really see a lot of pressure in the backfield. And when you listen to Coach House and even Coach Kelly on Thursday, they talked about the multiple looks, basing out of a 3-4, but you may see 4 at the line. Just trying to give them different looks to make them just have a few questions right before the snap. Who's coming from where? And that'll be, I think, the matchup to look at is how much pressure and disruption LSU can create on Travis, because obviously if he's got time to look, Micah Pittman had a great game receiving. I think had 5 catches in the game. If he's got time, he can deliver the ball.
No question. And he's an athletic quarterback. He can move around in the pocket. And because it was raining and it was Duquesne, they weren't able to get after him. But having a chance to see Matt House in this LSU defense in the spring, and then obviously in the fall as they put more and more of the package in, B.J. Ojulari is playing the jack linebacker. Chris, he has the opportunity to put his hand in the dirt and get down to 4-man front, and then he can play in space a little bit. And when you look at what House has done in the past, a little bit of Kentucky, and then with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's going to show a lot of different looks. And as I mentioned before, a lot of different personnel packages. They've got 4, 5, 6 linebackers that can play. You can go nickel, you can go dime. So it's going to be fun to see the chess match when Florida State has the football.
What's interesting as well, in the event that Florida State, again, has some difficulty of any degree up front, just running the football, pounding the rock against LSU's defensive front, I took a lot of notes from Coach Kelly on Thursday, and I think a lot of people, you may have caught it as well listening. He raved about the play of the secondary over the last couple of weeks, talked about the safety position, bragged about those personnel, and really felt like maybe what 6 months ago people considered a weakness, maybe not as weak as we sit here going into the opening game.
You know, no doubt. We left this LSU team last year after they changed the defense after the bye week and really got after people and were able to blitz because they were so good in coverage behind. A lot of those people gone to the NFL or transferred. A lot of new faces in that secondary. It's good to have Major Burns come back healthy to play that free safety position. That's a quarterback of the defense, going to get everybody lined up. The questions are on the corner. Bernard Converse. Is it Richardson from McNeese? You've got so many new faces up there. Garner from ULL. Who's going to step up and how are they going to hold up in man-to-man coverage, making this move to the SEC and a little bit higher level of football? It's a question mark. The front seven, fantastic for LSU. How's the secondary gonna play? And they've had a good fall camp. Let's see how they respond against Florida State.
Also going to be interesting to watch the use of the linebackers. Again, we'll see a lot of nickel. Coach Kelly said that. He said it multiple times. Just that's kind of where the modern-day defense goes against the modern-day college offense. But they've also bragged about the rise of Greg Penn. They really love being able to rely on Baskerville, and they've got some guys they feel good about. And I think that back half, really from the linebackers back, was a question mark when we left last season, but maybe not so much this year. A couple of minutes before Coach Brian Kelly joins us from the Lawton Room. Let's switch sides a little bit. Defensively, could we take anything away? I mean, 47-7 against Duquesne as far as the strength of the defense for Florida State?
No, it was hard to get a read. And this Florida State defense had their moments a year ago. They lost both edge players. Jones went to a high draft pick to the New York Jets. So they have some new faces over there, but it's a question mark. And like you said, against Duquesne, Duquesne really wasn't able to do much against Florida State. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how they perform and step up in competition.
I imagine he'll be asked here in the press conference in some shape or fashion about quarterback or QB1. And I don't know, not sure if you know, any of us know if that will be revealed today. But from a wide receiver standpoint, you talked about earlier seeing a lot of different guys play. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things he's alluded to is we got so much talent, a bevy of talent in the receiver room that we're going to see a lot of those guys rotate in. And it's been fun to watch those guys this summer and through the preseason camp.
Have had excellent camps. Everybody seems to be pretty healthy. Brian Thomas, I thought, did a lot of good things there. Malik Neighbors, who showed flashes a year ago, has been really, really effective in the slot. I think the question for me is to see the packages that Mike Denbrock's going to use at Cincinnati and some of his other stops. They like to use a lot of 12 personnel. They're one tailback and two tight ends. Cole Taylor, Mason Taylor have had nice fall camps, but not quite as deep, I think, as they've normally been at the tight end position. And with all of these wide receivers, do we see more 11 personnel and just put a third wide receiver on the football field? So that's going to be interesting to see. How does he adapt offensively what he's done in the past, the personnel he has this year?
Yeah, no doubt. Mason Taylor is one of those guys that really can do it all at tight end. So he is a potential threat down the field at that tight end position. As we wrap things up going into week number 1, another question mark area has been special teams. Those hidden yards in very close games can make the difference. And, again, Coach Polian said last week, we kind of been spoiled, at least from the kicking side of things. But I think that's coming more into focus now based on what Coach Kelly's talked about the last couple of days.
Heard a little bit of Coach Polian from last week, and they've had a whole lot of competition. We'll see if they reveal who's going to be the starting kicker. I think everybody expects Bramblett to transfer from Notre Dame to handle the punting chores, but we have been spoiled here at LSU the last couple of years. Cade York, he kicked a 70-yard field goal in warm-ups in the NFL. I think we had such a good run here that this will be new.
All right, Gordy, see you in the Big Easy. Here's
you.
Coach Brian Kelly.
All right, thank you. Well, obviously it's an exciting time. First game. 32nd year for me in doing this, so but first year here at LSU, so really for me, taking an LSU football team into its first week of preparation for a game against a really good Florida State team is one that I think there's around the office, there's a heightened sense of excitement. Everybody is anticipating a great week, and our preparation has been one where certainly you want to see the culmination of your team come together and play outstanding football. So this week will be certainly with a Sunday game will be a little bit different in terms of the days, but it'll be the same in terms of our process. Today is really kind of a day off for our guys. We treat this kind of like a Sunday. Tomorrow will be our mental Monday day, where it's a lot of, game planning, scouting reports, things of that nature. We'll team meet. We'll go over essentially how we should be thinking this week about our opponent, the awareness that we need to have about how we play the game. There's a lot of things going on the road for the first time, even though it is in New Orleans. We are, taking our team away from campus, how we handle ourselves in the Dome, how not to be distracted in the first game, the importance of all of the traits that we talk about in an opener. Florida State's already had an opener, so they've already gone through that kind of routine. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about that tomorrow, and then we get into, our first day, which is, Wednesday, but it's an attitude Tuesday for us, coming with the right attitude, getting after it in a practice situation is probably our most physical day. When we talk about our first padded practice day, Tuesday, our Wednesday, or again, moving forward in the week itself, the Thursday, is about, being gritty. You've got to really focus and refocus through that practice because it is, the longer of the practices. You want to make sure you get all of your preparation work in. Thursday, which would be Friday during the week, is about being perfect. Red zone situation, situational substitution, 3rd and long, 2-minute, all of those things take place on our Thursday, which again, we go into a helmet and shoulder pad situation. Practice is shorter. It's about an hour and 5 minutes, which leads us into our Friday, which is about focus. Focus Friday is a walkthrough situation for us. We'll do situational substitution again, but again, usually the first 20 plays of our scripted plays we're going through defensively, making sure that we've got all the right personnel, moving from nickel maybe to goal line, making sure that all of those things are done right on Friday, which is obviously Saturday. And then, we get into Sunday, and I like to work our team out on game day when it's a night game. So we'll go to the Dome. We'll work the guys out. We'll move them around. We'll work up a sweat in the morning. And, again, I don't like to keep the guys locked up in the hotel room all day when we have a night game. So, again, we'll go to the Dome, get the sense of the surroundings. So, again, we're not distracted and seeing the insides of the Dome for the first time. And, again, getting them moving. So we break the day up a little bit. Get back, we'll have lunch. They'll have some time off, pregame meal, and then ready to kick it off. So that's kind of an insight into the week. And then it's from there, successful Saturday. And then we'll assess everything on Monday and get right back to work because, as we know, it's a short week. So playing a team that I'm quite familiar with, opened up against Florida State last year. Know Mike very well. Mike Norvell's done a really outstanding job in developing this football team. They're a disciplined group now. It wasn't the same group that we saw a couple of years ago. Last year they took us to overtime, the team that I coached last year. And, it's a team that has some talented players. Defensively, physicality at the defensive line position, athletes at the second level and in the backfield. And then from an offensive standpoint, it starts at the quarterback position. And Jordan Travis, I think he's certainly from my perspective, a great competitor, can make things happen. You know, people use dual threat quarterback. He can throw the football, and he runs. He keeps plays alive for him. He didn't have to do a lot of that on Saturday, but you know, he's led by a deep and talented receiving core. And then, you know, what we saw on Saturday was rushing for 406 yards. So that certainly gets your attention. Any team that runs for 400 yards, regardless of who the competition. And Duquesne had, you know, some nice wins last year. You know, they beat a really good MAC team in Ohio last year. So this is a team that, you know, has a good program. So it'll be a great opener for us, and one that we're excited about. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Brian. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah. Since you were here in this room December 1st, meeting with us for the first time to now, how much have you gotten done that you want to get done? How ready are you? Do you always want more time
Sure.
for an opener?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a couple of things that stand out. One, I think our guys fully understand and have been actively engaged in our process, and I know you hear that all the time, and you know, you look at it as maybe coach speak, but you know, our process has really begun to take hold with our players. It's not for them. We're just throwing something against the wall and see what sticks. They know it's extremely intentional. Everything that we do, from you know, checking their sleep patterns to what they put in their body to how we practice. And so that kind of total preparation, they understand that now. And so I feel really good about the fact that our team has understood and has really bought into the process of preparing themselves for, you know, this opener. There'll be other challenges along the way. You know, we're going to have to stay, you know, in our zone. There's going to be some challenges and some ups and downs that we're going to have to handle. But I feel good about it based upon where we've come from since December.
Hey, Coach Brian Kelly, right here in the middle.
Yes, sir.
Last Tuesday, you said the competition between Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier was really close. You possibly will come to decision by the end of the week and maybe Monday.
Yes.
Do you have an update on the quarterback battle?
Yeah, we have. We've made a decision, but I'm not going to announce it publicly. And again, this is for you know, the Certainly, I think everybody here wants to know who the quarterback is. I get that. But I think it's a tactical advantage for us not to announce it. So I'm going to hold that announcement because I think it gives us a tactical advantage for not playing. Look, Florida State played a game. That's an advantage for them, having the opportunity to play. The advantage for us is that we haven't played. And so it doesn't help us to give up any of our cards in that sense. So we're going to hold on to that card until game day.
Brian Wilson, Alexander from The Advocate. The status of John Emery at this point, is he going to miss the first two games? Is there any change in that?
Yeah, so I've spoken on this before, and that, you know, John's done everything that would allow him to be in good standing in the football program, but, you know, I have things that are out of my control as it relates to who I can play, and that's not something that I can comment on.
Coach Andre Champagne, KLSU, what do you think the key is going to be to stop Jordan Travis's run game?
The key will be, you know, obviously, you know, playing great defense at all three levels, right? You know, we just talked about their ability to run the football. If you can run the football that effectively, Jordan Travis can have a field day out there. So we've got to be able to stop the run, first of all, and be effectively, you know, stopping the run. I think that is going to limit Jordan Travis, and if we can force him to be predictable throwing the football, that's going to help us a lot. As it relates to him in particular, He's a guy that you obviously want to box the edges with. You want to keep him inside the pocket. Once he gets outside the edge of your defense, he's extremely elusive, and he can create havoc. So I think from a defensive game plan, it's pretty clear that we've got to do a really good job against the run, which makes him predictable within the offensive structure. And then individually himself, we've got to keep him inside the pocket.
Coach, over here. On Saturday, we saw Malik Neighbors was dressed out but not doing any drills. What is his status?
Yeah, he should be good. I think today is another recovery day. I would believe that probably tomorrow he'll begin drill work. We'll be in a light drill work. But when we get into our normal routine of practice, he'll be cleared to practice. He had an ankle sprain.
Coach, right up the middle.
Yes, sir.
You said something about last week about not deciding on the quarterback, unsettling the offensive line. But both quarterbacks are similar, I would assume, in their preparation and your play calling. Is
Yes.
that an advantage in that we're not really splitting much up?
Yeah, there's some great similarities between the two of them in terms of what they're able to do. They both run extremely well. They both can make plays outside the pocket, and certainly we don't have to change the play calling. There's not a dramatic difference between the two when it comes to play calling. So you can imagine that, when we're talking about both quarterbacks, this is a 1A and 1B. This is not a 1 and a 2. And both of them, obviously are going to contribute this year.
Coach, are you comfortable naming Damian Ramos as your starting kicker or handling field goals, and then who will be handling kickoffs?
Yeah, I think Damian Ramos is going to start at the field goal position and extra point. And I think we're still in the process of making a decision on kickoffs. It's extremely competitive there. We feel like that decision is probably going to be made here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Brody Miller with The Athletic. You've handled quite a few of these quarterback situations before. I guess what is your best strategy, I guess, for managing, say, whoever doesn't get the job, how to kind of keep them in the loop and engaged throughout the season?
Well, I think in this instance, they're going to be, so engaged because they know how close they are to playing every snap. It's not going to be, put your helmet underneath the bench. You need your helmet on because I think that they'll be that engaged in the game itself. So this is a little bit different where, there might have been a clear difference in terms of how, and I think answering the question earlier is that we're going to be natural in the ability to kind of flip to the next play with the next quarterback. This isn't that you have to turn over your play sheet and go to, Jaden Daniels play calls or, Nussmeier, game plan. It's one and the same. So I think that in itself keeps you so engaged in what's going on.
Brian, on your right in the middle. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge. How does opening with Florida State a year ago help or assist in your game planning this week?
There's a new offensive and defensive coordinator for me. It's a whole new team. I don't know that it really helps as much as I can give and lend a little bit more, to our coordinators. I meet with our coordinators, daily, so I can give them a little bit of insight in terms of, what they're about and how they play the game and what they're looking to do on offense and defense. But that's about it. Other than that, this is a whole new operation for us relative to coordinators and the football team in itself.
Scooter Hobbs, Lake Charles, American Press. How long have you known who the starting quarterback will be?
How long have I known? Probably 48 hours. It's been that close. Yeah.
And does it annoy you at all that Florida State got that tune-up game in?
No, not necessarily. I think there's some pluses and minuses there. Like I said, I think we've got the advantage that they don't have any film on us. You've got a new head coach. You've got new coordinators. That in itself, there's the uncertainty of them knowing what to expect. So there is a bit of a trade-off there.
Hey, Coach, Steve Schneider, WAFB. Continuity on the offensive line, obviously important every game, but for this first game, avoiding negative plays, whether it's penalties or missed assignments, put you second and third and long.
All part of playing winning football, right? I mean, that's what, people ask me about, how do you feel about Saturdays? And, I enjoy Saturdays because my Mondays through Fridays are anxious because I worry about all the things that you just mentioned, right? And when I worry about those things, those are the things that we talk about every day in practice. And we stop practice if we see those things crop up, right? And then you just got to go play. And you hope that your preparation, not hope, but know that everything that you do from December on has addressed that. And that goes to winning. And so, yeah, all of those things are on my mind. But once you get to Saturday, you've got to go play and know that what you just mentioned, all those little things, they go to winning. And if you're doing that, you're in for a long day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you were going to get the team to the Dome Sunday before kickoff?
No, we're going to get there Saturday.
Okay.
We'll get there Saturday evening. We're going to stop for dinner on the way in.
It's a normal walkthrough then?
Yes, yeah, we'll stay there Saturday evening, and then Sunday we get up, we'll have breakfast, and then head over to the Dome.
And then you don't bring them back?
No, they come back to the hotel.
Okay, so that's the first I've ever heard of that. Most teams do it in their ballrooms or whatever at the hotels. You're going to have a lot of night games here. Is that something that...
Yes, we'll work out. That's why I brought it up. I brought it up so you knew what our routine was. We will leave the hotel. We'll come to the stadium. Let's say it's, an evening game here. We'll leave the hotel, we'll come in, we'll work out in the stadium, and we'll go back to the hotel. Yeah.
Coach, over here to your right, Ed Daniels, WGNO New Orleans. Coach, are you a fan of these neutral site games, and will you encourage the university to have them as part of the menu moving forward?
I think each one of them needs to be looked at, as a standalone. I think it's important to look at New Orleans as a site because of our fan base. I think we need to look at areas where we have strong fan bases and consider, those as neutral site games. I did them quite regularly where I was last year, and certainly the fan bases rallied around those. If we feel like those can sell out those venues and make it feel like a home game, you have to decide to give up a Tiger Stadium game. That's a hard thing to do, right? Because of, what this stadium does for a home field advantage. So that's a calculated decision, but going to New Orleans certainly makes sense to me.
Over here, Brett Martell with AP out of New Orleans. When we first started practice, you remember you talked about how there wasn't a lot penciled in relative to, last 10 years in coaching. And I'm wondering now if beyond quarterback, are there certain key starting rules, whether it be the offensive line or the secondary, that you would be comfortable discussing today and the rationale behind some of those decisions?
Sure. I think that, the offensive line has been one that, the linchpin to the decision at the offensive line started and ended with the center position. Once we felt comfortable with Garrett Dellinger at the center position, everything else was able to fall into place. And when I say comfortable at the center position, the ability to call out fronts, the ability to feel comfortable snapping the ball, and then executing his technique. There's a lot going on there, and here's a guy who hadn't played the position. So, that's a big ask. Guy coming off of surgery, not active in the spring. He did an incredible job. To place all of that on him and be demanding. Some of you were at the practice. I was pretty demanding on him, and certainly required a lot of follow-up with him, spending time with him, making sure that he stayed confident in that, and he did that. Now, since that day, we were able to decide what was the best rotation in that regard. And we think Bradford at guard, and Frazier at guard, and Wire and Campbell at the tackle position gives us the best chance with those 5 guys. And so
All right. Lost a feed. Somebody go down the hall and get a crescent wrench.
Yeah, that's all I know. To my knowledge, we lost the feed. We are working on getting it back.
Just wave at me, okay? In the meantime, we can tell you that Brian Kelly decided that he will not announce a starting quarterback publicly. That a little bit different from what he said last week when he sort of indicated that he would, and that's fine. I understand there being some. I understand there being some strategic advantage to not letting the other team know. If Florida State is doing their due diligence, which I'm sure that they are, they have spent a decent amount of their summer looking at Arizona State film and looking at a little bit of the film that they got from when Nussmeier played for LSU last year. They would be foolish if they didn't, and I don't think that Mike Norvell is foolish. So you got the feedback, is it? Okay.
So Dre Jenkins, as I mentioned, has probably been as consistent as anybody that we've had. So it gives us really a nice rotation and keep guys fresh. And as I just mentioned, I think that's 7 guys right there. 7, 8 guys is what you're going to see playing for us at the receiver position.
Hey, Coach, Matthew Bruni here. When you look at Florida State's defensive line, Cooper, Verse, McClendon, just what have you seen from that unit? Obviously, only one game from them.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, watching them during the season, inside size, at the defensive tackle position, they're not a group that's getting moved off the football. And they rotate them in. They can go too deep, inside, out. They've got some new players playing off the edge. They lost some, talented edge players, but there's still athleticism on the edge. But I would say that it starts inside out with their defensive line, which allows the linebackers to run. And again, what you can expect from this defense is lateral quickness, guys that can run to the football, and from a defensive standpoint, a team that's going to play some man coverage. They do play a lot of quarters, but in their quarters it becomes matchup man. So a team that has the athletes to match you up and the size to match up against what will be for us, one of the big offensive lines inside out with our center and 2 guards that we've had here.
Hey, Coach, to your right, Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV. Coach is yelling and screaming on the sideline. That's nothing new. Fans enjoy that. It's part of the entertainment to a lot of them. I'm just curious, in your career, did you take a look at some point and say, maybe I need to dial some of this back, or my temperament, or so forth, in terms of being an effective leader as a coach?
Yeah, I think we all grow. You know, I don't think if you don't look at yourself and find out what's the best way to lead and develop your players, then you're not going to be in this business very long. So, I mean, I have my moments like everybody else. You know, my office happens to be on national TV, so I have to be aware of that. But you have to be able to communicate effectively with the men under your charge, and you have to be demanding, but you can't be demeaning at any time. And so, yeah, I think there has to be growth. You have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to build off of that during your career.
You've been at some premier programs, and we all recall the alignment, word that you threw around so much. But football-wise, what luxury does the school, this team afford you that you're looking forward to exploiting, maybe a new one?
Well, I think the resources in terms of, having the personnel. I mean, I can tell you this, the three things that stand out to me are nutrition, strength and conditioning, and, our medical personnel, and how that affects and has affected our team and their development. Those three groups working together in unison and having the physical plant, and when I say the physical plant, the nutrition center, the weight room, and then the facilities necessary in nutrition, to bring all of those three groups together to service and serve our student athletes. This is about the student athlete and providing those things necessary for our student athletes to be the best they can be. So that's the exciting part for me. And what ends up happening is the players begin trusting so much more because they see that you care about them when it comes to, their nutrition. They see that you care about them when it comes to, injuries and their conditioning level. Ali Gay, for example, is a guy that did not make it through any training camp in his previous years here. He did not miss a practice. And that's not just luck. That's training, that's nutrition, that's an incredible medical staff. That's all three of those groups. We had 2 soft tissue injuries. And I'm here not to, trumpet the, LSU way as much as to answer the question on how those 3 groups in particular and having the resources necessary provide for the student athlete.
Coach, on your right, if I could ask a quick follow-up to that one, is this as healthy a team as you've had coming out of camp, number one, and does the lack of experience at place kicker maybe alter strategy on Saturday?
We got a week left. Coming up to this point, Corin Norman, obviously we lost him to an ACL, so I never want to exclude somebody when they've had an injury, and because it hits back on you later. Coach, what about me, right? But it is, from an injury standpoint, this has been a great camp. I mean, it's got to be graded out from that perspective, and it has a lot to do with the way Coach Flint and Dr. Friggs and Bo have, developed this team, and then our players, and their commitment's been outstanding. So yes to that. You know what? When we make a decision on the kicker, we're all in. We're all in on we're not going to change the way we operate the game and protect anybody. We're going to look. I like to use analytics in the game. We'll have somebody with an analytic book just so everybody knows. So when we second guess the head coach later, you guys can, and that's your opportunity. and you're right to do that. But I use the book, and sometimes I use my gut. And answering the question is that you can't do that and then go away from it when you have a kicker out there and you're afraid of him. You got to let him kick.
Coach, you've emphasized the importance of being multiple on defense. Florida State had like 2 running backs on every play. 3 of them kind of carried the bulk of the ball. How much does that impact your defensive plan, or do you think that was largely because of the conditions and the rain?
No, they've been a split-back team. You know, Mike's always liked to, even when he was at Memphis and even at Arizona State when he's the offensive coordinator, he likes to run split-back. And look, the 3 backs are outstanding. You've got to get your best players on the field. So in that situation, 3 wides, you know, he actually used, one of the tight ends and split them out. But that's his offensive structure. So that was not a surprise to us that he had 2 backs on the field. And it's a really good offense for them, and it's been effective. And, we were quite aware of it coming into the game. Great. All set. Thank you.
Countdown is on to kickoff coming up on Sunday, 6:30 inside the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Again, Brian Kelly with his first game week press conference as the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, run down some programming notes and send you on your way. It's the Brian Kelly press conference presented by ASAP right here.
Hey, Tiger fans, your new favorite local delivery app is here. Download the ASAP app to get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. All season long, make sure to use promo code TIGERS22 to score free delivery and automatically be entered in the Winner ASAP Dinner Sweepstakes for a chance to win LSU tickets, autographed merchandise, and more. That's promo code TIGERS22. ASAP is the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Who can relate? You're talking, but no one is really listening. At Our Lady of the Lake, we're making a commitment to you, the person listening right now, to check your vitals and what's vital to you, to take your blood pressure and understand the pressure you're under, to hear your words and be here to follow up on them, because hearing you is a big part of healing you. Our Lady of the Lake. We listen. We heal.
Hi, I'm Skip Bergman. You know, my players relied on me for guidance and advice, whether it was fielding tips or when to swing for the fences or the little gorilla ball. In business, that's where good bankers come in, like the business bankers at Citizen Bank and Trust.
That's right, Skip. This is Jim Pergison of Citizens Bank. If you're a business owner, the bankers at Citizens are here to coach you up for success. Join our team today. Citizens Bank and Trust. Business bankers, business partners, member FDIC.
Find new roads to Supreme Chevrolet in Gonzales and Supreme Chevrolet West in Plaquemine as the Chevy Open Road Sales event has been extended through August. Make no payments for 90 days. And with new shipments arriving frequently, Supreme Chevrolet has a new Chevy for you. Plus, save big with top dollar for your trade and the lowest financing and highest cash rebates available. For more, please visit SupremeChevy.com or SupremeChevroletWest.com or come to Supreme Chevrolet Gonzales and Supreme Chevrolet West Plaquemine.
Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today.
Anytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Now, here's Charles Sandegriff.
Welcome back to Anytime. So this is the way we'll do this on Mondays. Come in at 11, go to 11:40, then the press conference, and we'll come back and we'll take you up until 1 o'clock. We'll do this on Mondays, except next week, because there's no press conference on Labor Day. So we'll do a regular show, and we'll do the press conference on Tuesday of next week. It's always a little bit disjointed at the beginning, before you get into a rhythm, after the Labor Day break. But anyway, that's going to be our format on Mondays. Every other day we're going from noon until 1. If you're coming in here going, where's Hunt and Hill? They'll be in at 1 o'clock, 1 until 3 is their new time slot, and I'll be on from noon till 1. All right, so what do we get out of that? First of all, he did not announce a quarterback. He had indicated last week that he probably would, but he decided not to. I don't know that I necessarily disagree with that. If you can get any kind of schematic advantage, strategic advantage by not releasing that, then there's no real need to do it. We're all going to watch Sunday. He could have announced either one of them. He didn't have to announce either one of them. We're all going to watch Sunday, so we'll know soon enough. As I said, when we had our little technical glitch, and by the way, I think everybody lost their feed from the PC for just about 2 minutes or so. If Florida State hasn't been going through Arizona State film to get a feel for Jaden Daniels, if they have not gone and taken a look at the 4 games that LSU played last year where Garrett Nussmeier played, preparing for LSU right now is probably about as challenging as preparing for any new team, any team with a new coach, I should say. Because if you're Florida State, you haven't seen LSU play, you go back and you look at LSU film from last year to get a feel for the personnel that's returning. Then, because you have a quarterback that has transferred in that has 3 years of starting experience from Arizona State, you have to go look at Arizona State film. Then you have to go look at Notre Dame film so you can get a feel for what Brian Kelly has done. And then from an offensive standpoint, you have to go look at Cincinnati film so that you can see what Mike Denbrock has done. So preparing for LSU is a haul right now. It's certainly not as simple as just going back and look at what they did last year if they had the same quarterback and the same coach. So that's your schematic advantage you have, that they don't know exactly what you're going to run. He did say that he has not known for more than about 48 hours who his starting quarterback is going to be. I think he's probably being a little coy there, and I think I would too. I'm of the opinion that Brian Kelly has known for quite some time in his mind who the best quarterback, who he was going to go with, who he thought was the better of the two, who gave him a better chance to win. I don't think he says anything because, frankly, you can't. You can, but you run the risk of kids transferring. That's just how it is at that position. It's been that way for a while. Orgeron tried the year Burrow came in to keep all 4 of those quarterbacks happy, split the reps up. I mean, it was some really unusual number, like they all got 130 snaps or whatever it was at practice. And then what happened? The very day that they decided to cut it from 4 quarterbacks getting reps to 2, the other 2 quarterbacks transferred. That's just how it is. If you say something, you run the risk of, if the guy doesn't transfer, maybe just gets bent out of shape. And neither one of those is good. He said something later in the press conference about you have to be demanding, but you can't be demeaning. And he talked about how he's scaled it back, and a lot of coaches have. You have to do that now. If you don't, if you're mean to him, he'll just leave. I mean, they will. They don't even. He was mean to me. I'm leaving. That's not unique to LSU. That's everywhere. These players literally have to be re-recruited almost on a daily basis. A lot of people find that distasteful. I get it, but it's the reality. If you go scream at a kid, you run the risk of running him off. And you say, well, hey, get thicker skin, be tougher. Yes, that was the way it was for a long, long time. No longer is. You with every announcement you make, with every action that you take, you're on the risk of a player transferring out. That's just the way it is. So I got no problem with him holding the quarterback thing close to the vest. But I think he's known for a while. Any coach that's got the experience level of Brian Kelly can look at probably, I would say, a handful of practices and be able to tell you which of the players is better, which of the players fits what they want to do. Now, you keep that to yourself so that you keep them competing. You know, the carrot at the end of the stick, if you will. You keep them working towards the goal, and then you don't make a decision until you just certainly don't make it known to them or known to the public until you absolutely have to. So I get it. It's not really all that big a deal for us to know. It's a big deal for them to know and to divide the reps accordingly during game week. Some of the other things, talked about working out on game day. So that's different. He said he doesn't like to keep team locked up in the hotel all day, likes to break it up a little. LSU plays a lot of night games, so this is going to come into play quite a bit. I'm not sure if he did that at Notre Dame or if he did it at any of his other stops. It's interesting to me, though, because one of the things that players have told me throughout the years is night games, you go a little bit stir crazy. If you're in the hotel all day, sometimes you'll watch a little bit of football. It's on TV. Sometimes you'll take a nap. They have meetings, of course, but it's one of those things. Just you got a lot of nervous energy. I don't think that this is a bad idea at all. Don't think that they're going to do anything real strenuous. It's just get out there, break a little bit of a sweat, and it breaks up the day. So it's an interesting concept that he's going to do. Did not sound all that confident about his kicking game. Now, he did say it's not going to change the way that he operates, but when I think it was Matt asked him about the kicker, he says, well, we still got a week left. That situation is fluid. I told you that before the press conference. I wouldn't be surprised if you see multiple kickers this year if one of them happens to struggle. Now, Damian Ramos may go out there, and he may be, the next great LSU kicker. Who can say? But right now, I think that there's more than just a little bit of nervousness about that, and that's going to last all the way until this guy has to go out in a full stadium and make a kick. So that's going to remain very much up in the air, and the kickoff duties are still up in the air. He also got asked about the scheduling of this game in New Orleans. I'm glad that they finally, just owned up to the fact that these are, without a doubt, money grabs. Never could quite grasp the idea that playing a game in Green Bay, Wisconsin was good for recruiting, or even Dallas or Houston for that matter. Never in all of the time that I've heard players commit to schools, they say, hey, you know what? I saw you guys at that neutral site game, and that made all the difference in the world. That's not it. It's a cash grab. I am mixed on this because I think that college football is meant to be played on campus. I don't care about their budget. That's their problem. It was a problem for the season ticket holders. If you're a season ticket holder and every time there's a good non-conference game, it's being played somewhere else, the previous administration was real big on that. I wasn't. However, I like it a lot better when you're going to play a Florida State or a TCU or a Wisconsin than to stay here and play a Division I AA school. So if some of these games had to be scheduled at a neutral site just to get the opponents, then I'm for that part of it. But I still like the idea of college football on campus. And for the most part, that's, I think, the direction that they're going in. And playing a game in New Orleans, that part I get, okay? You got such a strong LSU fan base in New Orleans. I get that, okay? Dallas didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Atlanta didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Even Houston, I know that there's a big alumni base there, but if you're going to go out of Tiger Stadium, the Superdome probably makes the most sense. So I was, pleased to hear what he had to say about that, because most of the rest of the schedule after they return this trip in Orlando is going to be on-campus games, and I think that's as it should be. He mentioned a few things about Florida State. I did watch a lot of Florida State and Duquesne in the first half. I'll be honest with you, by the time the second half got going, I had lost interest, as I kind of figured that I would. It was a complete mismatch. If you wanted an idea of what was going to happen in that game. You could have looked at Duquesne's opener last year. It was against TCU, who finished 5-7, which is about what Florida State is predicted to finish this year. Their total on wins, I think, is 5.5 or something. So you got a very similar deal there. And last year, TCU beat Duquesne 45-3, and Duquesne made 6 first downs in the entire game. It was a complete mismatch. You didn't really get anything out of it. Duquesne lost this game 47-7, almost exactly the same score. Instead of 6 first downs, they got 11 first downs. And Duquesne was not a bad team last year at their level. They were 7-3, so you could kick out the TCU game, they were 7-2. I don't know how much you learn from this. They're not making a coaching change. He talked about Mike Norvell, who he has known back to his time at Memphis. He even mentioned it at Arizona State. So I don't know that you're going to get a whole lot of schematic surprises from Florida State. And you're certainly not – if you can look at that game and say, hey, this guy's a weak spot because of what he did against Duquesne, then congratulations, you're a pretty good scout, because there wasn't a whole – I was bored to tears, okay? And I've been waiting for football all summer, okay? Watched the Nebraska-Northwestern game. I watched Scott Frost fire himself with the onside kick in the third quarter. I watched all the way until I fell asleep at halftime of the Vandy game for about a quarter, woke up somewhere in the vicinity of midnight and said, okay, what did I miss? When I fell asleep, it was 21-10. Now it's 56-10. What did I miss? Had to go back and rewind that because I drifted off. But there wasn't much to see here in this Duquesne, and we knew that going in, that there was not going to be a whole lot that you could glean from that. Florida State was supposed to win. They were supposed to win convincingly. They did. They didn't do anything special. All they had to do, line up and run the football to the tune of 406 yards. Move along, nothing to see here. That was what I got out of Duquesne and Florida State. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will wrap things up. Hand it to Hunt and Hill at the top of the hour. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This week on DropBiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out NewOrleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. It is game week. Everything Brian Kelly has to say, previewing Florida State, and we'll recap Saints Chargers. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Annegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let me tell you something about how radio station politics work. There's one person in the building that you never piss off, okay? And that's the traffic manager. General managers are fine. Program directors are fine. You never piss off the traffic manager. They make the whole place run. So when our traffic manager calls and says, hey, my friend loves your show, you give him a shout out. I do it. My brother could call and say, give me a shout out. I would tell him no. My godchildren, my parents, my wife. No. Sorry. Doing a show. The traffic manager calls and says, give my friend a shout out. You do it because you do not piss Lisa Wilson off. Okay. You want to talk about the only person in this building that I'm deathly afraid of getting on her wrong side? She's a very good friend of mine. Love you, Lisa.
I kind of feel that way about Bo, lead engineer. I feel like he's always.
Oh no, absolutely. You don't. I do right by Bo. Okay, I'm buying Bo meals. Okay, but the traffic director. Yeah. So when she says, "Hey, my friend Brian chose," I say, "Okay, that's it." You want something? You go to the traffic director. Okay, believe me on this. So what I'd like to do in the last segment here most days when we have time is to take some questions out of the take some questions off the YouTube page and then give you a pick on whatever game is being played that night. So if you got a question, fire it in. I know we're running short on time, so we'll probably do more of this going on later in the week. Pick is on tonight's game. We have the Giants against the Padres. Giants minus 130. Carlos Rodon has been outstanding. I mean, he's having a great year, but here recently he's been even better. They have won 4 of his last 5 starts. He's got an ERA sub 2 in the month of August, so we're going to take the Giants. The Padres in the last 3 weeks kind of been hit and miss, win one, lose one, but all of the wins are against the Royals, the Nationals, the Marlins. I mean, they have been playing .500 baseball against really bad teams. Mike Clevenger's also having a good year. He hasn't been nearly as good in August, though, as Rodon has been. We think the price is reasonable here, so we'll lay the 130 with the Giants against the Padres. That is the late game tonight on ESPN Plus. What is this is one of the questions. What is the tactical advantage in starting Daniels? To me, he certainly has a large experience edge on Nussmeier. Now, listen, talent wins out of it all, but if those things are equal, and I think they're very, very close to equal, then the experience, I think, is something you can lean on, and I think he's a little bit faster than Nussmeier is. I don't think he is as accurate an arm, but I think he is a little bit faster and a little bit more experienced, and that's why I think he's going to start. I'm not going to be falling the floor shocked if it's Nussmeier, but I've said all along I thought it would be Daniels, and I still feel that way. Ask, and should I bet the over on Vandy wins this season? Yeah, you needed to get in on that last week, or preferably about a month ago. We've been touting that on Jimmy's show as one of my favorite plays. It was 2 a month ago, but even at 2.5, they play Elon, and that's a win. So you've only got to win one more. Tell you what, watching that game, the Vanderbilt, Mike White, that guy has got some wheels, man. Not just the 87-yarder, but he's a dynamic player, and Hawaii just could not keep him contained. So, yes, you definitely should. We'll have a little bit more time tomorrow to get into question stuff. We'll start a little bit earlier. All right, Hunt Hill is up next. It's 56. You told me 55.
That's what my bad. It says on the law 56:45.
It's my first day, man. Cut me a little bit of slack. I thought I knew.
My bad. That's what I thought. That's when I thought the break started too, but apparently not.
All right, so let's see. Today for show 1, we missed a mark and we lost a feed.
Yes, losing the feed did not help.
That was not our fault, right?
No.
All right, so you get the most improvement from game 1 to game 2. Most improvement from show 1 to show 2.
Yes, it'll be a lot cleaner tomorrow and going forward.
All right. Hunt Hill's up next. I didn't get that wrong, did I?
No, sir.
All right. For all of us here at the studios of 104.5 ESPN, this has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wanted